I'm Andrea Longman. I am the Senior Vice President and Practice Leader for the Media and Agency team here at EA. And so I have the great pleasure of introducing Jason Furlano and Sachi Gurudanti from MiQ and Martin Campbell from World Vision Canada. This dream team, and yes, I wrote that, this dream team is going to share how MiQ supercharged return on ad spend, or ROAS, depending on how you are with acronyms, for World Vision Canada by leveraging audience insights for advanced targeting. And they took away my podium. So, a few details about each speaker. And I'm going to read it because all three of these speakers have a great deal of experience. So Jason Furlano, give a wave, Jace, is the SVP of Commercial at MiQ. And in his role, he oversees key relationships with a number of strategic partners globally while driving design and development of MiQ's proprietary analytics platforms and media solutions in the Canadian market. There you go. All right. His more beautiful counterpart is Sachi Gurudanti, who is the Director of Analytics Solutions at MiQ. And in her role, she leads a team of analysts and solution consultants to solve clients' business challenges using data and analytics. Sachi has spearheaded the build of many planning and measurement solutions for MiQ's strategic client partnerships. Woo! And from a media and agency perspective, we are so happy to have Martin Campbell join us. He oversees marketing strategy and operations for World Vision Canada. In his role, Martin leads digital transformation programs, and he is especially passionate about utilizing tech for good and developing supporter-centric experiences that engage people and transform lives. Martin's focus is on introducing new and effective ways to help the world's most vulnerable children at World Vision. What they're going to cover in today's presentation is how MiQ devised an ambitious data-driven Know Your Donor initiative founded on EA's behavioral and PRISM datasets to seek out and engage donors who are more likely to donate during the holiday giving season and sustain the momentum beyond. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to Jay to kick us off, and let's talk about your data-driven journey.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrea, and thank you for the warm welcome, everybody. The clap was appreciated and kind of expected. And thank you to Environics Analytics for having us here today. It means a lot to be able to speak in front of you all about such an amazing topic. We'd also like to say a huge thank you to our partners at Starcom and Apex. I've seen you in the room, as well as World Vision, Martin, for joining us from London. So thank you all very, very much. So MiQ is not a consumer-facing brand, so you may not be overly familiar with us. But we are the largest independent programmatic marketing partner in Canada. We've been in the market here for 10 years, 12 years in total, working directly with agencies and brands to help solve their business challenges. While programmatic activity is, kind of what we do, it's at the heart of what we do, where we really begin to excel at the most is making the most sense out of data. So for brands and agencies alike, getting to the bottom and understanding what data means, extracting the most out of it, can be a very, very complex take on. But our focus is exactly that. Making sense of data, building custom solutions, and of course, discovering insights for clients that actually help make their businesses better. I should also mention, I would be remiss to mention the fact that the feathering in the cap for MiQ is the fact that we were last year's Environics Analytics Partners of the Year. We didn't get back-to-back this year, but that's okay. We'll be back next year for it. So in a bit of a nutshell, MiQ is a fully customizable programmatic partner. We take your goals, our access to extensive data partnerships like the one we have through Environics Analytics, inventory and buying platforms, and then we apply what MiQ is best known for. That is things like predictive intelligence, multi-platform activation, and of course, full-service campaign delivery. Now, as a result of this, you get very specific outcomes that matter to you. This could be anything from partners that work with us on the reach and frequency front, ROI-based customer acquisition, all the way down to store visitation, whatever it is that matters the most for that partner in particular. What this means a little bit more broadly now is that everything that we do begins with an understanding of what means or a brand's marketing needs, and more importantly, their media goals, but also the business outcomes and challenges that they're looking to solve for. So we'll use this to inform exactly how we execute and activate our campaigns, what kind of data, what kind of insights, and what kind of solutions we'll apply to the campaign to produce very specific results. So today, we are here to talk about how we did that for our partners at World Vision, turning insights into actionable outcomes. Martin, thank you again so much for joining us on stage. We massively appreciate you. I'll pass over to you at this point.
Thank you very much. I'm hoping my mic is allowing me to be heard from the back. Thanks for the very warm welcome, and it's great to see so many people here. So you may have heard of World Vision. We're reasonably well known in Canada for our work in child sponsorship, where we work in a long-term capacity in communities to do long-term development. You may have come across our work elsewhere as well in working with displaced people in very challenging parts of the world, in emergency response and in advocacy across nearly 100 countries globally. And all of that work is really focused around children and their families and tackling the root causes of poverty and food insecurity in order to allow them to reach their full potential. So if you're as old as I am, you may remember the 1980s. I can see a few people in the room who remember the 1980s. You know who you are. But if you don't remember them, you'll have heard of them. The famine in Ethiopia, the rise of Live Aid, and the transformation of the way that we view poverty as a global issue. And from that time, for about 30 years, we saw that we were able to really address all of those issues: clean water, access to food, access to secure and safe environments. But what we've seen in the last few years is that we've actually started to go backwards. Since 2019, several of those global indicators of poverty and food insecurity are starting to go backwards. And at the same time, life for Canadians hasn't been getting any easier. We've faced a very difficult few years. So, in short, everything is changing. And as our needs grow again in international development and relief, it's not just about going back to doing what we did before or doing more of what we're currently doing, because we've seen that consumer behavior has been on the move for, well, ever. But particularly we've seen those changes in the last decade. We've seen more and more engagement online, changes around the way that people buy and the way that people engage with each other. And that was before the pandemic, and the pandemic changed everything. I flew in from London. I work remotely with World Vision Canada. I spent some time here and some time on the far side of the pond. When I arrived into Pearson on Monday, the young man who sorted out my car rental for me spotted the name World Vision Canada and said, "Oh, I used to work for you a few years back. When I was starting off in sales, I knocked door to door and was trying to find people to be child sponsors." Now, I didn't have the heart to tell him, but we don't do that anymore because it doesn't work anymore. That tried and tested tool that many charities actually still use doesn't work if you run the numbers. So we needed to go right back to basics and understand our consumers, understand the general population, and understand those who might be minded to give to us in a bit of a different way. And of course, where we all spend a lot of time these days is online, so we had to start there. So the idea behind this Know Your Donor campaign, this program, is really setting out to understand where people are, what's motivating people to go in different directions, what kinds of content and appeals people are responding to. And by doing that, we can better understand those donors, actually get to know our donors once again, and regain that connection that we've kind of lost since everything has changed so quickly. By doing that, we're seeking, in the shorter term and medium term, to be able to connect more with the Canadians who actually really want to contribute to solving those global issues that we work on. And that for us, that means raising more dollars to be able to make more impact around the world. But actually, it's not just a one-stop visit for us. This is a closed loop. What we want to do at the end of each run of this program is to take the lessons that we've learned look very closely at what that means for us next time, and be able to adapt the way that we speak, the way that we communicate, everything about how we feel as a brand to what we now know about our donors, and that sort of ever-increasing clarity that comes through this data analysis. So that in a nutshell is where we've got to. I think we have a video that actually tells a really good story, so if you could press the magic button, we can go for that.
In the post-pandemic economy, charities were seeing a dip in donation funding while also facing an increase in demand for aid and services. As a recognized leader in good stewardship and financial accountability, World Vision Canada set out to find ways to spend their marketing funds more strategically and use their existing donations to serve more of those in need. Their agency team devised an ambitious, data-driven Know Your Donor initiative to engage and identify characteristics of donors who were more likely to donate during the holiday giving season and sustain the momentum beyond. The team used a combination of data-driven strategies to inform their campaign. Using World Vision Canada's online traffic and donation data, the team analyzed and identified key targetable behaviors of potential donors. The campaign assets were then delivered programmatically to audiences that most closely match these potential donor profiles. Multivariate dynamic creatives were also used to optimize for the top-performing combinations of ad copy, images, and call to actions. The team adopted a holistic omni-channel approach across connected TV, online video, YouTube, and display. They used trend analysis to determine that the majority of donors converted with 4 or less impressions. While effectively managing frequency of impressions across channels, the team also analyzed and optimized for channel combinations that led to higher chances of donation. What were the results? Campaign-driven online donors were 6 times more likely to donate versus organic traffic. Multi-channel impressions also resulted in higher donation amounts. Those exposed to 2 channels donated twice as much, while those exposed to 3 to 4 channels donated up to 7 times more. The data-centric Know Your Donor initiative was a huge success for World Vision Canada. The team leveraged advanced analytics and multi-channel strategies to segment and target prospect donors, used dynamic creative to engage them, and boosted conversions with optimized impression frequency across channels. By more efficiently allocating their marketing spend, World Vision Canada was able to use more of their existing and newly raised funds to help transform lives.
All right. Am I audible? Yes. Awesome. All right. I hope you all enjoyed that video, and I'm sure our marketing team also hopes that you enjoyed that video because they put in a lot of effort for that. But I also hope that you're wondering how we made all of that happen, because I'm here to tell you exactly that. I'm Sachi Gurudanti, Director of Analytic Solutions at MiQ, and I actually worked very closely on this campaign. So I'm really excited to walk you all through some of the analytic solutions that we applied for this campaign. Martin has already talked to us about the common challenges in the industry as well as the goals that were set out for the Know Your Donor initiative. I'm now going to walk you through the analytic solutions that we used to solve for these business challenges as well as to deliver on those campaign goals. As Jason mentioned earlier, MiQ is not just a programmatic partner, we're also a marketing intelligence company. And what that means is that from planning to execution and measurement, all of it is driven by data and analytics. For World Vision, we started with pre-campaign insights and analytics, where we leveraged the anonymized data we had available from their website to understand how people behave on site before they make an actual donation. We looked at site metrics like how much time they spent on site, how many pages they visited, and so on, and all of that fed into predictive models that we built that then helped us optimize our campaign to drive users that are most likely to convert and make a donation on site. As a next step, we also needed to understand how different donors are donating on site. So we looked at taking that customer analytics a step further and segmenting World Vision donors based on their donation frequency. What we learned was that there were 3 different types of customers or donor segments. We had one-time donors, multi-donors, and frequent donors. One-time donors were those that donated just once in the last 2 months, which is still valuable. We had multi-donors that donated 2 to 5 times, as well as frequent donors that donated more than 5 times in the last 2 months. But just looking at donor segments was not enough. We also needed to understand how to best engage with these donors and how these donors interact with our campaign and our ads. So we looked at how many impressions we need to serve before a donor makes a donation. And what we learned is that 1 to 4 impressions was the ideal number of impressions we needed to serve in order to drive that donation. These learnings were really important and critical for our campaign optimizations and to understand how to best engage with our donors without oversaturating them with ads, while also ensuring that we're driving the most efficient ad spend. Last but not the least, we also needed to understand who our donors are, as well as where to reach them. So Environics data played a very crucial role to answer this question. We leveraged demostats and Prism segments to understand who World Vision's donors are. The top 3 segments that matched World Vision donors were social networkers, Downtown Verve, and Eat, Play, Love. These were mostly young to middle-aged urban consumers. These insights were really, really important for us to identify the FSAs to target during the campaign in order to reach the right audiences where we're most likely to find them. Finally, all of this information had to be put to use. So when it comes to campaign execution, we used all of the above-mentioned learnings to activate on an omni-channel campaign. So we reached potential World Vision donors through connected TV, online video, YouTube, and display. All of this while optimizing towards return on ad spend. Jason, are you ready to take us through the results from the campaign?
I am. Thank you very much. I'd be thrilled. To say that we were thrilled with the results of the campaign would probably be an understatement, and that's because the campaign itself performed exceedingly well. The key measure of success, as we've kind of alluded to for this campaign in particular, was return on ad spend, or ROAS. It's right in the title of today's presentation. Our sophisticated audience targeting tactics resulted in a 6x conversion rate for donors that MiQ drove to the site versus donors that landed on the site organically. This proved that the campaign drew effective, higher quality visitors to the site who are more likely to make a donation. We also found that by activating an omni-channel campaign, we saw significantly more donations as well as higher amounts. Donors that were exposed to 2 channels gave on average 2 times more than those who were exposed to a singular channel. And then those who were exposed to 3 or 4 channels donated up to 7 times more. The omni-channel strategy proved to be a powerful approach to driving lower funnel results and allowing the brand to allocate their budgets a lot more effectively to convert those audiences into actual donors. Now I've got a question for Martin here. Martin, for most of the marketers here today and in the room in particular, a successful campaign means that you sell more products because that's what you've kind of been tasked to do. For World Vision, the implications are much more significant. It's about responsibly activating a campaign to truly actually help more people at the end of the day. Can you provide a little bit more perspective on this one?
Absolutely. I mean, I think from what I said at the beginning, you'll understand the impact that donor dollars have, whether it's in an emergency response or like in a campaign like this where we're looking at a longer term need. We do transform lives by providing the basics of life from water and food security through to education and health services that help people to thrive in places where that's very challenging. So the value of the product is absolutely vital to us. It's our job to make sure that we communicate that really clearly back to our donors, because actually for them the value proposition is that I get to understand and feel good about the impact that I have. But all of that is constrained by the fact that as a non-profit organization, as a charity, we're under this eye of scrutiny that says that there is a balance we have to strike between how much we invest in our own operations, our marketing operations, and the work that we send to the field. So if we find something that's tremendously successful, there's a stopper on that dial that we can turn up, because we have to keep within the limits that we as an organization, and actually the broader limits that the sector expects of us, which is that fundraising costs really have to be kept below about the 20% mark Otherwise, we start to ask the question, how much of the money that I give, how much of my dollar is really going for where it's supposed to, where I'm giving it to. Now, people understand that the value of a dollar is, you know, if 80% of it goes to the field and most of the rest goes towards raising the next dollar, which then multiplies, that can be a good thing. But none of us want to see our dollars invested in those areas where we're just spinning up somebody's marketing machine. So in that context, the efficiency, the ROAS, as you called it there, is absolutely vital to us, because there is that just hard limit, that hard cap on how much we can spend, and we have to make sure that we get the best bang for our buck.
Thank you for entrusting your agency partners and us in that process. I appreciate that answer. So we're going to summarize a little bit. So to take it into 3 things, World Vision wanted to better understand their online donor behaviors, demographics, which we utilize the partners at Environics Analytics datasets to help better understand. Next, we want to drive more donations through that website by reaching audiences who are more likely to donate. And finally, we wanted to measure the effectiveness of a media campaign. Now, for this, we delivered cross-channel insights and results that surpassed any of the benchmarks that were outlined at the start of the campaign. Partnering with Environics proved to be a success in helping us find and segment the right target audiences to achieve, in this case, World Vision's marketing goals. By discovering new and very valuable donors, we were able to optimize the campaign to drive quality website visits and ultimately higher donations for the organization. We also were able to gain new insights about how the combination of multiple channels contributed to drive higher conversions. Sachi touched on this a little bit, but we can now utilize this to inform future marketing decisions. The intention here is that the next campaign and the campaign after that will already start from a place of optimization before a single dollar is invested on behalf of World Vision.